What's up, fuckers? It's me, it's Elle. So today, as I mentioned on Facebook, I am making a kind of go-to makeup tutorial for me. This is basically whenever I want to do my makeup and have a full face, but like not do anything freaky or anything I've never done before, and something that's just, you know, a go-to look for anyone who's like kind of darkly inclined, alternative, goth. I feel like I should preface by saying that like I am not a professional in any sense of the word. I've only been doing makeup really for like 2.5 years. And I enjoy it a lot, but I'm not a professional. I don't have a license. I just do it as a hobby. And also another thing I feel like I should mention to preface with is that like a goal for me with makeup, obviously I want to find myself attractive when I have makeup on, but I really try to look kind of intimidating with my makeup. I want to look intimidating and kind of otherworldly. So if you're interested in how I went from this to this, then stay tuned and you'll be able to see how that happened. The first thing that I usually do, which I've already done, is moisturize my face, which is why my face is so shiny. And then once I've done that, I always pluck my various facial hair. I pluck my eyebrows and usually my upper lip, and I have not done that, so I will do that first. Okay. So eyebrows are plucked decently, got the upper lip. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, it's not the first thing I always do, but if I know what I'm gonna do with my eyes, then this is usually what I do first, and that is my eyebrows. So as you can see, I have very dark, thick, coarse eyebrows, and so like I don't need a lot of product to fill them in and get them dark like I want them. If you have thinner eyebrows, you may want to have a different eyebrow routine than me. I don't have an intricate one. It's, as you will see, it's very simple. I just fill them in with eyeshadow. If you're curious of what shadow I use, please don't cringe too hard. I actually use a very cheap eyeshadow palette that I got from Wish. I don't remember when, but this is what it looks like on the outside. And then I specifically use the black. As you can see, I've used it all the time because it's all I use on my brows. And for the brush I use, I don't even remember where I got these brushes. I think I got them from Amazon. They're not amazing, but they work well enough. As you can see, it's just an angled brush, very simple. And then this side is the one I use to blend out my inner parts of my eyebrow. So let's do that. And the way I do it, personally, is I draw the bottom line first. I think this is what most people do whenever they do their eyebrows. And literally all I do, personally, is follow the natural shape of my brow. I don't have to draw a shape because I just follow my natural arch and shape of my brow. My brows are asymmetrical, as you probably have noticed. I kind of just deal with that. I don't care. And I just go with my natural shape. And as you'll be seeing, I line the bottom and then I fill in the top and then I don't do nothing here for a second. And then I go back and do the same thing on the other one and then I blend out this to there, to give it like the fade effect that you see with most brows. Okay, so once you get to this point, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the other end of the brush, as I mentioned to you, and I'm gonna blend out the parts that's right here and this line of shadow upward and outward on both of the brows. Yes, I do this on purpose, just to kind of make them look more even. Like this one's also going to go inward and kind of look like a unibrow, and then I'm going to clean it up. Okay, so now that I've done that, I have blended out the shadow from this area and blended it all the way out. I'm just going to go ahead and take Q-tips with micellar water and clean up not only this inner part that looks like unibrow, but also the edges here. In case you're curious of which micellar water I use, it's this one. It's a little cute little packet. And I like it because the little spout that it has is easy to use with Q-tips because it's like a tiny little spout. And so I can like put it on a Q-tip easily. And then to take it off from here, I literally just do an up and down motion like that. And then I try to clean up the angle from the top. for some reason this brow is darker, and to make it look lighter and more even to the other one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it out again some more, and then I'm going to take off more. And this happens to me all the time. I end up with one brow that's darker. Okay, I think that's even enough. Brows, like any other part of your face, are never going to be perfectly even. So you just have to get to a point where you're like, I can live with this, and I think I'm at that point. Okay, now that I'm done with my brows, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime my eyes. I have very oily eyelids because generally my skin is very oily. So if you're like me and you have oily eyelids, this may kind of work for you. If you have drier lids, you may want to prime them differently. But the primer that I'm using for my eyes today is this one from Elle. I think it's called like Eyeshadow Lock or Eyelid Lock, something like that. It's like $3. It's hard for me to find a good primer because my lids are so oily. This one has worked and it's cruelty-free. I've been trying to do better and only buy from cruelty-free brands this year. And this is kind of tried and true for me. And then all I do, I usually like even wipe my lid very lightly at first to like move some of the oil out. But all I do is I put it all over and I kind of bring it out too. And then I'm gonna smooth it out with my finger. In order to kind of smooth it out, as I said, I really just tap it. I try not to like pull it too much because also you don't want to be pulling your eyelid. That's not the best thing to do for it. But I do just try to tap it until it no longer feels wet. Okay, and then once you tap it to where it no longer feels wet, again, because I have oily eyelids, what I do is I set it with a talc-based translucent powder. Just because I feel if I don't do that, I can still end up with a thing where like all of your eyeshadow clumps in your crease and it's just like a wet, greasy clump of eyeshadow, which nobody fucking wants. Alright, and then I'm just going to do the same thing to the other one. Alright, now that our eyes are all primed and feeling nice and dry instead of oily, we can actually start the eye makeup and putting eye products on. My hair is also dirty as fuck, so hopefully you can deal with that. Okay, so the black eyeshadow that I almost always use, it is tried and true. I tell everyone that this is like the best black eyeshadow in my opinion because it's really pigmented and it blends really smoothly, is the Sugar Pill Bulletproof. If you don't know about Sugar Pill Cosmetics, they're really amazing. They have really vibrant pressed shadows and some awesome glitters, and their liquid lipsticks are also really good. I definitely recommend you checking out Sugar Pill Cosmetics if you don't already know about them. They're also cruelty-free. They're just a really cool brand. They do a lot of work with drag queens too, which I think is really awesome, so I really like Sugar Pill. And the brush that I use is like not a very conventional brush. Again, this is just like from some brush set that I got from Amazon. It is like a pointed, it's slightly pointed, but it's also broad. I don't know terminology for these things, but I like it because for my inner corner I can get kind of pinpointed, but then it's also broad enough to where I can pack things on. So the method that I use whenever I apply black eyeshadow, the way I'm doing it here, is pack and blend. So this is the brush that I use to pack it on my eyelid. Just kind of tap it, tap off the excess, and then the way I apply it is I pack it kind of in a half moon shape on my eyelid. Very simple. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, the eyeshadow shape that I'm doing here is going to be a rounded eyeshadow shape. I do also at times do cat eye angled eyeshadow shapes, but when I do that I almost always use Scotch tape, just because I really do like that clean line. But I'm not doing that here, but just keep in mind that if you did want to do the cat eye eyeshadow shape, the way I do it is I use the Scotch tape. Okay, so now that that is all packed, of course I'm not going to leave it like this. Personally, I don't like this kind of look. I like things to be blended out. And because I'm really only using 2 shadows here, I am going to go ahead and just blend this black out first. The brush that I use to blend out most things, including like when I do kind of monochromatic eyeshadow looks, is an e.l.f. brush. It's the Fluffy Eye Blender brush. It has a very fluffy end, as it entails and is titled. And literally all I'm going to do is doing circular motions all across my eyelid with this black, and focus it on the ends, of course. Okay, that's pretty much as blended as I usually like it. So as you see, I don't know if you can really see it well, but with my blending, some of the eyeshadow that I packed here has come off a little bit, and that almost always happens even if you are the best blender in the world. So what I'm just going to go ahead and do real quick is take some of the black eyeshadow again and pack it in those areas where it kind of fell out from my blending. And then if you feel so inclined as I do, once you repack, you can blend it just slightly again, just to be sure that you don't have any kind of harsh lines. I try to avoid harsh lines. Okay, now I believe that is good. Looks pretty blended out to me. When I'm feeling really lazy, I actually, in terms of my eyeshadow, might stop here and literally use one color. Because I feel like one of the things I really love about Sugar Pill Cosmetics is their eyeshadows blend like butter. Like, they blend really nicely, in my opinion. So you can literally just use one, blend it out really well, and then it looks kind of nice. But because I am feeling, you know, I want to do the full thing, I will also use another color, a dark brown, to blend out on the edges and to kind of give it an even more smoky look. But do keep in mind that if you really are kind of trying to hurry and just do something really quick and you want to use a single color, I do that sometimes. As a matter of fact, in this look that a lot of my e-friends seem to like, I only used the Sugar Pill Bulletproof. I didn't have any other color on my lid. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm also going to use a dark brown just on the very edges of some of the black here, kind of in the corner, to blend it out even more and give it an even more smoky look. The brown that I am using, please don't hate me too badly, but it is from Unique. I got this as a gift. I did not buy it myself, but it is the Moodstruck Addiction 4 eyeshadow palette. Feel as you will about Unique. I would not buy from them personally myself, but it was gifted to me, so that's why I have it. But that being said, I actually feel the shadows in here are pretty nice. The one that I use when I am trying to do this like kind of go-to smoky eye goth look is this shadow here, Brave, the darker brown. I don't know, I just feel like it blends out really well with the Sugar Pill. And it is like a very dark brown, which is why I like it. So the brush I'm using this time for the brown is this very fluffy-ended, kind of longer brush. I don't want anything to pack with. I don't really pack this brown onto my lid. I just kind of lightly sweep it, and it really is just to blend out the black that I already blended out even more. And again, just lightly, all you're going to do is on the very ends, just focus some of that brown, and then blend it out. And because of my eye shape, you can kind of see my eyebrows come down pretty low here. So I'm not going to be focusing a lot of that brown here because I can't fit it. I really focus most of the brown on this part of my eye, towards the tail of my eyebrow, to blend it out more and give it that kind of smokier look. Okay, and then once I kind of have that there, I'm going to take the fluffy blending brush from e.l.f. again, and I'm just going to blend the edges out some more, and then I'm going to blend the black into the brown a little more cohesively. I think that's good enough. I'm happy enough with that. That is one eye. So now all I'm going to do is take everything I just did to this eye, and then do it to this eye, and then I shall be back. They look pretty much even and good. So I'm satisfied. So what I'm going to go ahead and do before I smoke out my lower lash line and then also put some glitter, highlight, silver, whatever you want to call it, in my inner corners is I'm going to clean up the bottom a little bit with a makeup wipe, just because it is kind of, you know, there's a little bit of fallout that I do want to clean up before I do that. Yes, I'm drinking pickle juice. No, I don't take questions. Okay, so before I actually do smoke out my lower lash line, I'm actually going to apply concealer and then let that dry and set that again with a talc-based powder. The concealer that I use is this CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous. I think it's the lightest one they got. I purposefully got the lightest one they have because I'm pale as fuck. When it comes to applying concealer, I literally just, I use the doe foot and I kind of just sweep under my eye. Nothing fancy. So forgive me for using like non-traditional sponges to apply makeup, but I got these for Christmas and I feel the need to use them. But it's like a typical triangle sponge. I'm going to be using this end, the more tapered end, to just kind of pat out the concealer underneath my eye. So to avoid any possible creasing, as I mentioned, because with concealers that tends to happen with me, it tends to kind of crease very easily, I'm going to be setting the concealer underneath my eye with the same talc-based powder that I set my eyelids with the primer. Now that I've set the concealer with the powder, what I'm going to go ahead and do is smoke up my lower lash line. On my lower lash line, I'm only going to use the Sugar Pill Bulletproof. I don't use the brown. I feel like the black is enough and I can blend it out nicely on my lower lash line. The brush that I use to do it is this angled brush, again from that set that I got from Amazon. And then all I basically do is line my lower lash line with the eyeshadow, just like you would do if you were using eyeliner or something. And I try to kind of make it match and nicely go into the shadow on my upper lid. Well, yeah, so I've lined my lower lash line with eyeshadow, and then what I use is actually the exact same brush. I live with this bitch. Just use the same brush, the fluffy eye blending brush, and you're going to hold it at a different angle than you did for the upper lid. So you did kind of circular motions like this whenever you were using it on your upper lid. On the lower lid, I tend to hold it like this, kind of like a, I don't know, 45-degree angle maybe to your face. And instead of doing circular motions, you're just going to go back and forth. Alrighty, I think that looks good enough to me, so did it to this one, gotta do it to this one. Alright, now that we have smoked out the lower lash line for both eyes, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put what typically would be called highlight. I use it as a highlight sometimes, but it's really just a very silvery, sparkly, glittery eyeshadow on my inner corner. This is what I use. As you can tell, it is heavily loved because the cover has come off. And the one that I use on my inner corner almost all the time, not even just for this, but like in general when I'm doing makeup, I'm probably going to have this in my inner corner. It is this one right here, this silver one. It's very sparkly and silvery. And then the brush I use to apply the glitter in my inner corner is this one. It's kind of long, just kind of rounded at the end, very thin brush. And I literally just dab it in the glitter, turn my head at an angle, and then you're gonna literally just dab it lightly in your inner corner. And I like a lot of glitter, so I tend to apply like at least 3 times, and I tend to do it in a kind of a circular motion. That way you end up having a circular shape to the glitter that's in your inner corner. Okay, I think that's good. Oh wait, I failed to mention the name of this, didn't I? This is Hard Candy. This is the Hard Candy, that's the brand. It's called Guilty Pleasure Eyeshadow Palette. Hard Candy is like one of my favorite brands. It's drugstore. It's super cheap. I think you can only find it at Walmart, but it's cruelty free and it's really cheap. And most of the time, most of the products that I get from Hard Candy are really good, so I definitely recommend them. So next up, what I'm going to be doing, as I mentioned, is eyeliner. There are probably easily thousands of tutorials on YouTube on how to do outer corner wings with liquid eyeliner. So I'm not going to be super in-depth of how I do mine, because I do feel like my method for doing my outer corner wings is pretty standard to most average people and how they do their liquid eyeliner. So in case you were curious of the eyeliner that I use almost always, it is the e.l.f. I don't even know what this one's called. It's like the one that's $2, not the one that's $3. It is the pot one, not the pen. I've always been kind of partial to liquid eyeliners that are potted and not pen type. I don't know why. I feel like with the pens they can run out randomly and so easily, and then they get really frustrating when they're dry. But with a pot you can kind of control the amount of liquid that you get on the brush more easily, I feel. And I use the jet black, of course. I don't use any of the other colors. And so the angle that I almost always do my eyeliner is I try to aim to have it to be trying to touch the tail of my eyebrow. That's, I think, the most standard way most people do their eyeliner, and I try to do it in a straight line. I try to not have the curved line. If you like the curved line, that's perfectly fine. Some people like the curvy look of some eyeliner. I just prefer the really straight, kind of edgy looking eyeliner, so that's what I will be doing. So literally all I do is I take the brush, I kind of hold it at an angle, and you're going to want to always balance the brush when you hold it with like some of your hand on your face. And I just draw a line, as I mentioned, towards the tail of my brow. You can make yours as long as you want. That's about how long I make mine. I should have prefaced with this. With eyeliner, I almost always do like step by step, like from one eye to the next, just to try to have the most symmetrical looking wing I can have. And I feel like that's the best way to have a symmetrical looking set of wings, is to like do one step on this side, do one step on this side, and not try to like finish one and then do the next one. But that's just my opinion. Same thing I did on the other eye, literally just drawing a line at this point. Nothing else but lines on my face. So now that I have the lines, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get a little bit more product on my brush. Not a lot, just a little bit. I go to the very end of my line here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to connect it to the middle of your lid here. Literally like that. But I do it from this angle instead of this angle. If you would think you would prefer going this way, you can try it this way. I feel like I get it more even if I go from the out in. So you kind of have an outline of a wing there, and then again, like I said, I do one step, one step, one step, one step. So I drew that line on this side, I'm going to draw that line on this eye. We always have one eye that we do eyeliner better on. For me, it's almost always my right eye, I think because I'm right-handed. My left one I always have to fight more with. But then, basically all you do once you have this drawn, once you have your like little triangles drawn, is you're going to fill them in. I always fill them in first, and then if I'm going to actually have like a full eyeliner going all the way across my eye, I will do that after. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the triangles that I have and try to get them looking even. And one thing I forgot to mention is I like my wings to be pretty bulky and thick, but if you would want to have a thinner wing, a wing that's thinner than mine and kind of, you know, thinner and sleeker looking, you can still do that. Basically all you have to do is, instead of trying to connect your line to the middle of your eyelid like I do, connect it lower down. So if you connect your wing here, for example, it's going to be a thinner wing, and like the farther down you try to connect your wing, it's going to be thinner. So just keep that in mind. So just a tip when it comes to eyeliner, even though I am pretty confident in my eyeliner abilities and I love eyeliner, I still fuck it up all the time. So as you can see, this one came out pretty nicely. The end of it, the tapered end, is really nice. This one not so much. I have a dot that I accidentally did, and then also the end is not tapered enough as I want. So whenever I do have that kind of thing that happen, I just I take a Q-tip with micellar water, as I did before with my eyebrows, and I try to clean it up that way, and then I redo it. That's how I basically try and try again with my eyeliner. Okay, I believe that's good enough for my outer corner wings. They will never be totally even. Like that old adage, what is it, like they're sisters not twins. It's true of your eyebrows, it's true of your eyeliner, it's true of your eyeshadow. And you can also see that I haven't made a whole line across my eye. I do at times, here and there I have slightly hooded eyes, and I find that when I do a whole line across my lid, it actually makes my eyes look smaller. But if I use this method where I basically just only have the wing going to the middle part of my eyelid, my eyes look bigger. And plus, with my eyeshadow being black, it doesn't really matter if my eyeliner goes all the way across because you can barely see it anyway because my eyeshadow is so dark. But now that my outer corner wings are done, I will be doing my inner corner wings. I almost always nowadays have inner corner wings. They've become a staple for me for my makeup. I feel very naked if I don't have inner corner wings. There are even times that I do inner corner wings and not outer corner. And from what I've seen on YouTube, I've tried to look up like inner corner wing tutorials. They actually are all pretty different from how I do mine, and they aren't very catered towards alternative makeup. And so I will try to explain how I do my inner corner wings a little more in depth than how I did with my outer corner, just because it is less common. If you guys would be interested in seeing like a tutorial, more like, you know, very detailed tutorial of how I do like a standard inner corner wing, the different kinds of inner corner wings there are, because there isn't just one, let me know. So honestly, overall, the way that you do your inner corner wings is basically the same as the way you do your outer corner wings, but it's in the opposite direction. So the rule of thumb that I use whenever I am drawing my inner corner wings, at least now whenever I draw them, is you want your outer corner wing and your inner corner wing to be able to, like, if you were to connect them, it would be like a diagonal line splitting your eye in half, but diagonally. That's the rule of thumb I try to use whenever I am drawing my inner corner wings. If you want them in a different angle, you totally can have them at a different angle. The reason I like that angle, that kind of diagonal cut, I guess you would call it, is because I feel like it pulls your eye up and makes it look like super cat-like and very not human. I'm gonna try to do this so you can see. I take it and I just draw what is going to be the upper line. And it's okay if it's a little thick, because you're going to be filling it in anyway. Another tip is try not to raise your eyebrows whenever you're doing inner corner wings, because if you do that, it will actually change the angle of them and possibly make them look crooked. So try to, like, you need to really keep your face settled whenever you're doing your inner corner wings, because like the tiniest movement can change the way they look. So once you have the first line, what I'm going to go ahead and do is the exact same thing on my other eye. Of course, I'm also making my inner corner wings pretty long and big, because I feel like I again am a dramatic bitch, and that's the look I like. And also I feel like with alternative makeup, the inner corner wings tend to be bigger compared to non-alternative makeup. But if you want smaller ones, you can of course make them smaller by just not drawing your line as long. So what you're going to do once you have your lines and you feel like they look relatively even, what you're going to do is you're basically drawing a triangle like you did with your outer corner wings, and you're going to draw it. I usually try to aim for like this part of your tear duct area. Something kind of like that. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing to this eye. Okay, as you can see, I've already started trying to make them even. But once you have the kind of triangle shape drawn, you're just going to fill it in, just like you did with the outer corner wing. And it may take a few tries to get them as even as you want, but just keep at it. I promise it's worth it. Okay, yep, see, I've already fucked up with this one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the Q-tip with my micellar water, as I said, erase part of the wing, and then try to redraw it. Okay, I think that's even enough. But now that we are done with eyeliner and eyeshadow, that means all we have left for the eyes is eyelashes. Well, mostly all we have left for the eyes is eyelashes. Okay, so before I put lashes on, I always do put mascara on. Not because I want my lashes to look longer, of course, but just to have them blend in better with my fake eyelashes. And the mascara that I use is this one, L'Oreal Voluminous Original. This is the one my mom uses, and so I grew up using it, and so that's why I still use it. I am aware that L'Oreal is not a cruelty-free brand. Next time I need mascara, I plan on getting one that is cruelty-free. This one was just out of habit. I mean, I feel like putting on mascara is pretty self-explanatory. I just take it from the root to the tip. I know some people who do just the roots at first, and then they do the tips. But again, I feel like that's for people who wear mascara and only mascara, like for the length, and I don't do that. Okay, now that mascara is all done, what we will be doing next is the lashes. Probably the most common question I get is, where do I get my lashes from? I get nearly all of my lashes from AliExpress. There is one specific seller that I tend to get the most from, but I have gotten lashes from different sellers on AliExpress. They do sell faux inks there, and I find they're good quality, and they're much cheaper than most American sellers, which is why I get them. Of course, you do have to wait that like 2 weeks to a month to possibly 2 months in order for them to arrive, but I feel like the quality is good enough and the price is cheap enough to where, you know, I can do that. These are the ones that I'm using today. They're really fluffy and big. When I'm wearing kind of like monochromatic eyeshadow and like I don't have a lot going on in my eyeshadow area, I tend to wear like bigger, bushier, more dramatic eyelashes. I feel like that's the opportunity for me to wear them. I've worn these lashes before, so I don't need to cut them in order to fit them to my eye. This is the eyelash glue that I use, the Kiss and the white tube with the aloe. I like this one the best because it comes with like the paintbrush. It's not a paintbrush, with a brush applicator, and so it's way easier to put the glue on strip lashes, or even not strip lashes. It just makes life so much easier to have a brush applicator. Just like there are so many tutorials on YouTube about how to do outer corner wings with liquid eyeliner, I feel like there are so many tutorials on YouTube on how to apply fake eyelashes. As a matter of fact, there's one that I find really good by my good friend Bridget, who I'll go ahead and link here in case you guys want like an actual in-depth tutorial on how to just put on fake lashes, because I'm not going to really go into detail. I hold the lash like this, and then you're going to apply the glue just like that, like a brush. I sometimes use the actual like this part, the non-brush part too, to put glue on there, and then the brush to smooth it out, and then you wait for it to get tacky. I find with this Kiss one that I use, when it starts to turn blue or clear, depending, that's when it means it's tacky. And while I wait, I usually just kind of blow on it, or I do this to kind of make it more flexible. I do apply my lashes with a tweezer. Alright, the lash seems tacky, so the way I do it is I position the mirror like lower and I look down into it, and then you're going to want to start by putting the middle of the lash on there first and making sure that's secure, and then once you feel like the middle is secure, you work on the ends. And always, whenever you're putting the lashes on your lid, try to position the lash kind of upward and not just forward, because then if you do it forward, you're not going to actually be able to see the lashes very well, because they'll just be kind of flat looking. Alrighty, that's one down. And then we are going to do it all over again. Alright, we now have top lashes on. Next up, can you guess what's next? Bottom lashes. I mentioned earlier that people often ask me where I get my lashes, but I feel like people ask me even more where I get my bottom lashes from. And this may surprise you, this is actually how I get my bottom lashes. but oftentimes, you know that part of your lash I told you to cut off whenever you're trying to size the lash to your eyelid? Well, that little piece, that bulb or whatever you want to call it, that you cut off, that a lot of people just throw away, I often use as what I put underneath my eyes, bottom lashes. But of course, as I mentioned, I have already sized these, and so I cut that part off, wore it, and then threw the part away. I never really, well, very rarely do I keep bottom lashes and then reuse them. I just feel there's no need for it because I have so many like old lashes and just lashes that I could cut up. I just spoiled what I do. I cut up strip lashes and put them on my lower lash line as bottom lashes. I know there are many places that do sell like strip bottom lashes, and I have used some before and they're nice, but I feel like they can get really pricey and expensive when you can just like, you know, take a strip top lash and either wear it as a bottom lash or cut it up and have like pieces, you know, as a bottom lash. So that's what I do. The strip lash that I'm going to be using today as a bottom lash are these, which are from a different seller. So from a different seller than the ones that I'm wearing. But I got these in bulk and I actually don't like some of them. I feel like they're too short sometimes to be top lashes. So I decided I can wear some of them as bottom lashes and just cut them up. So all you do is you take the lash and your scissors of choice. And for me, what I'm going to do here, I'm trying to do it so where you can actually see. I'm going to cut it not after the first bulb, but after the second here. Because I'm probably going to do it like in sections. I usually do, so if I'm doing dramatic, like today I'll do 3 sections, sometimes I only do 2, sometimes I just do 1. It really just depends, but I'm going to do this first little section as 2 bulbs. And try not to lose it whenever you cut it, because it's very easy to lose those little sections of lash that you cut. So because this lash, hopefully you can see it, it has a smaller bulb first, and then a bigger bulb. I'm going to put it on this eye just because I feel like it looks better if you have like a small than a big. Like basically I feel it looks more natural to go from, you know, tapered to being less hair to more hair. It's so weird to think that we're so preoccupied with our eye hair, but you know, beauty standards. And then I applied glue to it the exact same way that I did my upper lash. I actually usually put a little bit of less glue on bottom lashes than top lashes because I just feel it's less weight. It's a little piece of lash, so you don't need to put as much glue. Alright, it seems a little tacky, so again, holding it in the tweezers, what I do is I usually look down and then I place it wherever I want. And then you press it in using the tweezers. And it usually stays pretty easy. There's one down. Usually you want to have the biggest, I guess, bulb of bottom lashes in the middle, and then if you're doing 3 or more, all of the lashes surrounding the biggest one should be smaller in size, I feel. I feel like it looks the best that way. Or if you want a tapered look, you would put the biggest lash on this end and then have all the others getting smaller that way. But I like having the one in the middle being the biggest. So for the middle bulb of lashes, what I did is I cut it to where, I don't know if you can see, there's actually 3 little bulbs, and the one in the middle is longer than the 2 surrounding it. And then the one that I'm going to put on the outer corner is going to be kind of the inverse of this. It's going to have a long piece and then a shorter piece. And there you have it. So now that I did this eye, I will go ahead and do the other one, and then I will be back. Alright, now that we are all lashed up, we have all of our lashes on, our eyes are done, so all I have left to do is the lips and face. So what I'm going to do next is basically prime both my lips and my face for the rest of the makeup I have to do. So this is an Elle lip product that's supposed to help with like the lines of your lip to stop like feathering and smudging and stuff like that. I don't know if it actually works. I bought it back when Elle had like a sale online. Because I have it, I still use it along the lines of my lips before I put lipstick on. I can't really attest to how well it works because I didn't have a major problem with feathering before, but okay, and then while that sets, I'm just gonna prime my face for foundation. This is the primer I use. I have very oily skin, and I bought this primer again on a whim whenever Elle had a sale online. It works okay, I guess. Primers for me are always kind of iffy because my skin is just so damn oily. But I really do this more for skincare than anything, to like try to prevent the makeup from like just seeping into my pores. Okay, so while the face primer sets in, I'm gonna go ahead and do my lipstick. My go-to black matte liquid lipstick is the Wet n Wild, of course, Liquid Catsuit in So Noir Cool. Yeah, So Noir Cool is what it's called. The number is 959A. And I don't know, Wet n Wild is a nice cruelty-free brand, again, drugstore prices, but this is like easily the best matte black liquid lipstick that I've ever encountered. Like anytime people ask me what's the best one, I say Wet n Wild. It works the best. So I don't know if I should like in detail explain how I apply lipstick. I don't line my lips. I literally just, being that this has a doe foot applicator, apply it that way. I usually start with my bottom lip, and I start in the middle at the bottom. And I do always overline my lips a little bit, sometimes a lot, but like I always do 2 coats of black lipstick just because you kind of have to. But yeah, basically all I do is I use sweeping motions. On my bottom lip, I actually don't use like the pointed end of the doe foot. I use the back end to kind of do sweeping motions across the bottom of my lip. And then on my upper lip, because I have a cupid's bow that I like to accentuate, that's when I use the pointed part of the doe foot more to like give myself a cupid's bow. So I'm going to let that first coat dry on both of my lips, and then I'm going to do a second coat, and I might overline my top lip a little bit more. Okay, the first coat is pretty much dried, so we're going to do the second one. Alright, now lips are basically done. They're pretty much dry. So now all we have left to do is the face. So the foundation that I use, or well, at least the one that I'm using today, is a Wet n Wild Photo Focus in the lightest shade they have, which I think is porcelain. Yeah, it's porcelain. I like Wet n Wild. Again, it's the same brand that did this lipstick. So sadly, when it comes to doing my face, I may disappoint some people when they learn this, but I don't do anything particularly notable. I don't really contour. You'll see that I do highlight, but I don't use bronzer or anything. It's something I do think I want to get into eventually. I just haven't yet, just because I am so pale, and like paleness goes with the gothness, even though obviously any person of any color can be goth. I like kind of looking dead, but I do feel like I have nice cheekbones that I think one day would be nice to accentuate. And then the way I personally like stipple it out is literally just stippling it out. Like I just press and kind of pull a little bit in some directions, but not majorly. Like you don't want to be pulling, because that's what ends up making skin look streaky. Oh, and to note, I will be putting concealer on, but I personally don't put concealer on my forehead. Okay, so I already put foundation on my forehead and like stippled it out or whatever, and then I do put a little bit of concealer on the rest of my face. I put like a line down my nose. Oop, that wasn't a very straight line, but that's fine. And then I have acne right here, so obviously I'm going to put some right there. And then again, we are just going to stipple that out. we shall apply foundation to the rest of the face. I usually just do dots. Okay, I've applied all of my foundation, so I am now going to set it with a setting powder. This one is the one I use. It's by Becca Cosmetics. It is called Hydra Mist. That's what I thought. I really like these, like, Hydra powders, and I like Becca specifically because, I don't know, it's very hydrating. Like, literally, like, when you put it on, it feels almost liquidy, and it's very cooling. Being that I kind of have that oily skin, something about it being Hydra Mist I feel sits better with my oily skin. Maybe it's just all in my head because it feels nice. And I use kind of an unconventional brush to apply like setting powder. It's the same brush that I used whenever I was setting my eyes with that talc powder after I primed them. It's one of those like brushy looking, that sounds so dumb, a brushy looking brush. Like a hairbrush looking brush. I got this as like part of a Christmas present for my mom. And then the way I apply finishing powder, literally I just put it, you know, all over my face, and I really focus it on my problem areas. Okay, so now that we've set our face and our face is looking quite a bit more matte, what I'm actually going to do is apply highlighter. The highlighter I use is a dewy stick. It is this one by Elle. But the way that I apply highlighter is very simple. I don't put it like every single place that a lot of people put highlighter. I just put it a few places. So I put it right here, like above where you would put blush. So basically you would put blush here. I kind of put highlighter here going inward towards my cheek. Now you just do the same thing on the other side. And then I also put some on my nose, on the very tip, just do a little round circular motion, and then a little bit going like on, not on your nose bridge, but like going down your nose. And then I take kind of like a fatter face brush that's like, I don't know, fanned out at the end to blend out the edges of this like highlighting stick, because it is obviously very harsh edges you have and you don't want that with your highlighter. And then for my nose, to kind of blend it out on the edges, I actually just use my finger. And then once you kind of have your highlighter blended out a little bit, to me it's dewy and it looks nice, but it's like not as shiny as I want. So what I do is I take that same glitter that I use in my inner corner, the silver one right here, and I'm going to be placing it on top of some of the dewy parts of my highlighter to make it look even shinier. I'm going to be using the same brush that I used with my inner corner of my eye. Just very lightly, super lightly, does not have to be hard, tapping little pieces of glitter into the dewy highlighter. And then you can do a little dab on the nose, just a little. So essentially I could stop here because basically my face is done now. This is really the entirety of all my makeup, but because I am so extra and this is kind of like an extra tutorial, I will go ahead and put some non-conventional things on my face, which I do sometimes. So at times I put things like temporary tattoos, confetti, rhinestones, small pieces of nail art onto my face. And what I'm going to go ahead and do then is put some of those just to go ahead and be that extra, and then I will be back.
A few moments later.
Alrighty, so this is the completed look. I went ahead and added some confetti stars on my face just because, I don't know, I love confetti stars and I felt like they go with my usual vibe. But yeah, this is the completed face. This is my kind of go-to goth, alternative, darkly inclined makeup that I always do. So I hope that you were able to learn something from this. Again, I'm not a professional. I really just do makeup as a fun hobby. But even if you didn't learn anything, I hope that you at least maybe enjoyed watching me. But I do want to thank all of you wonderful darklings so much for watching this video. I appreciate all of you so much, all of you that support me on social media. You really do make all of my days better, and I love all of my e-friends so very much. I hope that all of you have a wonderful night, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.